to the Niche Pursuits Podcast. Are you ready to discover some niche business ideas that actually work? Well, it's time for a motivational kick to jumpstart your next big idea. Here's your host, Spencer Haas.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Niche Pursuits Podcast. I'm Spencer Haas. I blog over at nichepursuits.com and do a couple other things, including host this podcast. Today I'm excited to have a guest on the podcast today. Her name is Pilar Newman, and her website is pilarnewman.com. Now, before I jump into her intro, I feel like I should give a report on my marathon. I've been talking about it for the past couple of podcasts, and I never actually got a chance to say how the race went, so I thought I'd do that here. Well, I ran the race, I had trained a lot, and overall it went pretty well. In fact, I set a personal best. I got a time, in case anybody's curious, of 3 hours, 31 minutes, and 56 seconds. So it was a little bit faster than my previous marathon. However, I did not break my goal time of under 3 hours and 30 minutes. So it's a little bit heartbreaking in that regard, but I'm still happy I had my fastest time ever. And I have another marathon coming up in about a month, in which I'm very confident I will be able to get under that 3 hours and 30 minutes. I'm kind of chuckling here because there's probably only two of you that even care about this. So before I waste any more of your time, I would like to introduce Pilar Newman. Now, she is somebody that has been selling on Amazon for 8 years. She's been doing the Amazon FBA program. I really love the story that she has to share with us today because she's taking a little bit of a unique angle in the fact that she finds trending products that are doing really well and maybe are new or are just trending and growing very quickly for some reason. And she creates products that are complementary to those, or she bundles other items that might go with those trending products. And so she becomes a unique seller of some product that can go along with this trend. And so she's done this over and over and over again, and she's got quite good at it. In fact, this year she's hoping she will break the 7-figure mark in sales, but she's been doing well into the 6 figures in sales for the last couple of years. And so with that, we're going to just jump right into the interview. She has lots of great tips for picking products and working with manufacturers and sourcing agents and building relationships there, and lots of other great things that if you are interested in selling on Amazon, this is a great place where you can get started without a lot of capital. She actually offers a couple of suggestions and trends that are working well right now that people can jump into and get started. And then, of course, once you've started, you can scale your business after that once the money's coming into the door. So with that, here's the interview with Pilar. Thanks a lot. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Niche Pursuits Podcast. I'm your host, Spencer Haas from nichepursuits.com. And today we've got Pilar Newman with us on the show, and her website is pilarnewman.com. Pilar, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Spencer. How are you?
Doing great. Welcome to the podcast. I am really excited to talk to you today about your Amazon FBA business. And so before we jump into what you're doing right now, I always find it interesting to know what you were doing before you ever got started in your current business. So give us an idea of your quick background story. What were you doing before you ever started Amazon FBA?
Yeah, sure. It's great to be on your show, by the way. So thank you for having me here.
Absolutely.
And I've actually been in sales for the majority of my life. I worked with a call center for a couple of years and, making 200 phone calls a day, trying to get entry-level meetings for the outside sales reps, and did well in that. And then later on, I moved into the wholesale book business, and I sold a lot of books in quantities to schools, both public and private, nationwide. And in that business, I was pretty much the only salesperson. And it was a small business, but we did a little bit over $1 million right as I was leaving. And otherwise, I've been doing Amazon FBA, or Amazon in general, for 8 years, and FBA for close to about 4 years now. So it's been a little bit of a great ride, and definitely enjoying the Amazon FBA lifestyle right now.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's kind of interesting because clearly you have a sales background and have done well. Maybe explain how that has helped you with Amazon, because you did a lot of sales calls, in-person calls with people, selling books and other products. That's very different from Amazon FBA, where everything is online. It seems like a lot of your skills would be perhaps picking up the phone and talking to somebody and closing that sale. But you've moved to Amazon FBA. Do you see some of those skills as transferable?
Oh, yeah, for sure. When you're doing sales over the phone, you always have the customer in mind, and you're trying to figure out, okay, what is it that they're going to latch on from what you say? So when I look at Amazon FBA and I'm doing my product listings, I think it helps me out a great deal in terms of copywriting for my product detail page.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
Always have the customer in mind, as opposed to me just thinking, okay, what do I think customers are going to like about this? But in fact, actually going and reading blogs about my product or a similar field within my product to see what people are saying and what they're interested in. And so online sales, obviously, it's very different, and it's much easier, in my opinion, than actually picking up a call, the phone, and making a cold dial to someone that you've never spoken to and then trying to figure them out in the matter of 30 seconds.
Yeah, and I think that is important to be able to understand the customer's perspective. I also come from a sales background, and so a lot of what we did, as salespeople is just ask a lot of questions and try to understand what they're thinking and where their pain points were, or, whatever problem they might be having and what solution we can provide. And so I agree. I think I never thought of it quite like that, but I think that makes perfect sense, that if you have that perspective with Amazon FBA, really trying to get into the head of who is the end user and what's the solution I'm providing, that can help a lot.
Yeah, no, for sure. And as you're saying this, a lot of times when I talk to Amazon sellers and they're considering products to sell on Amazon, they're always, what product should I sell? Where should I start? And I always tell them to start with your target audience in mind, because that, at least if you're able to make a long list of, a potential target audience, what they may be interested in, what other items, then items start coming to mind. And it's a little bit easier if you kind of start that way in terms of looking for a product to sell on Amazon.
Yep. So let's move your story forward here a little bit. How did you start selling on Amazon FBA? How did you discover it? And why did you get started?
Yeah, I've always loved Amazon as just a general consumer. And one year, my nephew, who was about 7 years old at the time, he asked me for a Christmas present that I could not find anywhere. I asked him to show me where this Christmas present, where did he see this item? And then he pops up the Amazon page and he shows me this particular toy item. And so I try to go find it in all the regular retail chain stores, cannot find it at all. At that time, I wasn't making too much money. So a little toy that would have cost about $35, $40 for me was kind of a big deal. When you're just kind of pulling in about $2,000 a month, that's a big deal.
For sure.
So I Googled everything and I just followed one link to the next, to the next, to the next. Before you know it, I ended up coming across a distributor of this particular item. And I started, I said, it's pretty cheap. Let me see if I can put one on Amazon and try to make my money back on his Christmas present. And I did that. I think I bought a box of about 12 items. I saved one for him. The rest sold immediately.
Wow. And
it was such an aha moment for me that in a short amount of time, I can make that kind of money. And that kind of money, I think it was about $120 at that time, but it was a big deal again for me.
Yep.
That started the process of my Amazon selling, and that was close to 8 years now.
Wow. So 8 years,
yeah.
You've been up for a long time in terms of internet years. I mean, that's an eternity almost, right?
Yeah. And back then there wasn't even the FBA program. So I was actually shipping stuff out of my house.
Okay.
But yeah, Spencer, I want to tell you that particular item, now I have a line of items in that toy line. That's the only item that I've been selling on Amazon for my entire near 8 year Amazon business.
Wow. So you've still been able to stay in that particular niche, if you will. And then yeah. I know you've expanded and done a lot of other things as well. Yeah. Can you give us an idea of what does your business look like now in terms of what you're selling? Do you have just 3 or 4 products, or do you have lots and lots of products? What does that look like?
I always think the least amount of products that I have, but that I can make the most amount of money and just kind of push volume. That's where I tend to go with my business. Mm-hmm. And I've consistently over the last few years fallen just shy of the $1 million a year revenue mark on Amazon. This year, I'm making that push for that. But I do sell across various categories. I can be selling in the kitchen niche. I can be selling in toys. You'll find me in industrial. I'm pretty much looking at this as an investment. Okay, if I put in $1,000, let's see if I can get back $3,000. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the way that I pursue my Amazon business. This past year has been a great deal of change. I've been working more with trying to figure out how to do sales off of Amazon. And then more recently, just within the last month and a half, I've been in contact now with some retail chains to possibly sell my Amazon products to them. So that's been kind of neat, and it kind of just took this turn unexpectedly over the last month and a half, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, that is exciting, and I do want to follow up with that here in just a little bit about getting into retail. But before we do, I do just want to highlight your success that you mentioned there and just say congratulations. I mean, almost doing $1 million for the last couple of years is huge.
Thank you.
And I'm rooting for you for this year to have a strong holiday season so you can hit that $1 million mark in sales. That's awesome.
Awesome. Thank you, Spencer.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of number of products, you're across a lot of different categories and have sold lots of different products over the years. Can you give us an idea of a general strategy for picking a product? And, well, maybe before I ask that question, to clarify, are you doing what you did with your first product in that you're just buying from a distributor and kind of flipping that? Or are you creating your own brand and doing a true private label play on these products?
Sure. No, that one product line is actually one of the only lines that I have that I do buy from a distributor, mm-hmm. and it's a foreign product. But so that's the only thing that I do from a distributor's endpoint.
Gotcha.
I create my own products. Now, in terms of branding, I'm pretty much no frills. What I tend to do is I'll take a look at what's selling really well on Amazon. I'll talk to friends, seek the kind of hobbies that they're interested in, what they look for in products in their hobbies. And I just kind of, talk to my suppliers overseas who can manufacture things for me or find manufacturing companies for me to help me create some sort of a basic product. Mm-hmm. And so I don't always do the whole shebang. Let me get up this brand and logo and let me do this and that, because most of my products on Amazon have a lifespan, and it can be anywhere from about 12 to 16 months. If I'm planning on really building a brand, then I need to consider more of outside Amazon sales. And I haven't decided to do that yet until about, earlier this year. Mm-hmm. So right now I am focusing on starting to brand some items in a particular niche. I've already started a Facebook fan page. I've already collected some email addresses from that fan page with lead generation tools. And so now I'm going in that direction. But otherwise, you will see me in various categories. And if something is selling well on Amazon, then I'm pretty much looking at what other items I can combine it with or find complementary items for. Mm-hmm. I create my own page and there I go. So I'm pretty much doing my own items, but without the whole branding aspect of it right now.
Gotcha. So you are creating a private label version or a generic version of whatever might be selling or whatever complementary product you can sell, correct? You're
Yes.
just not going out and doing the whole build a separate website and huge brand and all that attached. It's just they're basically on Amazon and that's it, right?
Yeah, and that's for the time being. I'm pretty much no frills in that. But there is one thing that I am more known for in the Amazon world and doing, and that's working on trending items. I have a few examples of it, but the main one that I did back in 2013 was the Rainbow Loom explosion back then, which was a looming, a kit for looming rubber bands together and creating bracelets and whatnot. And so I did a lot of white label items for the Rainbow Loom, the Rainbow Loom trend. Mm-hmm. I ended up doing very well in that. And so I kind of now have kept an eye on what items are trending. And then once I find a really good trending item, I try to get in early enough with a complimentary item posted on Amazon. And those create some serious profit margins for me in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I want to talk about. I mean, I'll be honest, I missed the whole Rainbow Loom trend. I'm sorry,
That was a good one, Spencer.
Might not have been my demographic. I wasn't looking for that, but but I think that highlights, how cool and how many opportunities there are. Like, I can miss the entire trend, but underground, if you will, or if people are paying attention in certain categories, there are these trends that are happening all the time that you're saying we can capitalize on. So can you give us an idea of what your strategy is for finding these trends and picking products to sell?
Yeah, I really much am an avid learner and a very curious person. And I think that really helps a lot in terms of trying to figure out what's happening in the world and getting on things early. The Rainbow Loom stuff, it started coming about when I did notice like a friend had like one of their kids had something on. It just made me curious. I was looking, I'm looking for Amazon items and just kind of, oh, great, this is a cool little rubber band bracelet that you have. Never heard of it. And they're giving me the name of it. I'm just asking more questions, looking on it at Amazon. The real or the actual branded Rainbow Loom stuff was selling out so quickly that the Amazon prices were just jacked up. I immediately took to Aliexpress. I found a few different vendors there, and I said, hey, listen, I'm looking for rubber bands, and they need to be different colors. And I got samples from all of them, and I pretty much picked the best quality one and just started selling them at great prices on Amazon. These days, it's been a little while later now. These days, I've made some great relationships with my vendors overseas, and I buy a lot from China. And so my vendors, my agents, they keep an eye out on what's going on out there, what's being produced, what's looking hot. And so now, some of them give me tips as well as me just kind of keeping up with being an avid life learner. It's been a great way to find products. So I keep my eyes out on Amazon, what's trending on the top 100 list. I have agents now in China that keep an eye out for me. And then I'm constantly learning from my friends and everyone else what's going on in their lives and being curious enough and then coming up with products for Amazon.
Yeah, no, so that sounds like a few great ways to kind of keep up with the trends. And so if I just highlight that, you're looking at Amazon trends. So there is, people can search for that and see what products are trending and selling faster, this week than they were last week. And that's one way to do it. You mentioned, of course, following along with or noticing hot items that your friends are using or maybe your friends' kids and that sort of thing. And then you mentioned using agents that you have in China, your manufacturer's agents. So are you using basically sourcing agents then? These are your contacts that you have in China. You have that maybe work with a few different manufacturers. Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah, no, that's exactly how it works. I have agents who pretty much will go out and find whatever it is that I ask of them. And I have various agents. There's a couple that I'm really much closer with and work a little bit more with. Mm-hmm. But, I actually ended up meeting these agents on AliExpress just through a couple of transactions. And then later on now I've gone to China a couple of times and I've met them all in person now.
Awesome.
And that's really solidified my relationship with my vendors. They really work off of this kind of friendship model. Let's get to know each other. You're my friend now. We help each other out. And it's created something really, really amazing. So, so they help me find manufacturing companies. There's this misconception too, by the way, that you shouldn't be working with agents. You should go straight to the manufacturing company. When you're first starting off on Amazon, it's really hard to put in a large order if you're a very small vendor. Mm-hmm. And also to not even be sure that item is really going to work. The agents, they do take, a little bit of a cut. But at the same time, if you build this relationship with them, they will be the first ones to tell you what's going on out there, and you can capitalize on something if you get in early enough. So they've definitely been great workers with me. I've worked with one manufacturing company directly. I did bring in a 20-foot container to a warehouse here in Massachusetts, but that's the only time that I've actually worked with a manufacturer straight on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how do you recommend that people find great agents to work with? Just starting like you did on AliExpress or Alibaba and just sort of, as they gain experience, they'll find those connections?
Yeah, it's basic ways of in terms of Googling, agents in China, also on Aliexpress or Alibaba. A lot of those people that are just vendors on there, I contact them directly, or I used to, because now I have my agents that I'm pretty solid with. But I would contact a lot of those vendors and just ask them for stuff that I was just looking for, see if they can help me. I think that's a great way to get to know how quickly these guys are going to respond, what their communication is like, how quickly can they get samples to you, and really start the process of seeing if they're a good vendor or a good agent to work with.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Absolutely. So
yeah.
Now, going back to strategy for picking products, so you're looking at industry trends, maybe some sourcing agents gave you some ideas saying, hey, these are great products. What other steps do you go to either analyze the competition, or what helps you make a decision of, okay, I'm going to, buy a batch of this product and start selling it?
Yeah. I think most sellers, after they've been on Amazon for a while, they will tell you that a lot of the products that they've come up with, a lot of it is based off of your gut feeling after a while, because you start to get a good eye for what a good product is. Initially, when you're first starting out, I do recommend that everyone start with a smaller item, not too costly, something that you can air freight in, air freight out. And that gives you more opportunity to kind of work with whatever capital you're working with, and maybe start off with 2 or 3 products and see kind of where it takes you and which one starts working or not. It is a very low investment entryway to get into Amazon. But once you start working with bulky items, the volume is really what pushes the price up. So stay something that's lightweight. If you have a hobby that you know really well, that would be a good first place to start. What items would go well with this hobby that you know a lot of. And if you're just looking to flip a dollar, then what I would recommend is go to the Amazon's top 100 list, take a look at the items that are selling really hot and say, hey, is there a complementary item that I can sell with this item, or that I can find for this item, or how do I latch on to the velocity of sales that's going on with this particular product? So, yeah, there's a lot of different strategies to take. It just kind of depends on what kind of investment capital you're working with and what you're trying to accomplish in your Amazon business.
Right. So what about going a step, you talked about selling a complementary product. What about somebody that, or would you ever recommend, somebody looks at the 100 bestseller list and they see a product and say, you know what, I want to sell that exact product, or, do my own private label version of that and get into that market because I know people are buying that exact thing. Do you recommend people going directly after some of the best-selling products on Amazon, or is that too tough?
I do not recommend that. I know there's been a big push over the last couple of years about finding the best products selling on Amazon and going ahead with your own white label item in your logo. I think you're diving into something that is already highly competitive.
Right.
You're just asking for competitors to come on your listing, to hijack your listing, and you're going up an uphill battle here. I always recommend either complementary items or not fearing looking for items that you don't even see on Amazon. A lot of the items that I put on Amazon, you would be pressed to find someone else who's selling those same items. And so what that does for me is it gives my product more longevity. I just kind of look at what's trending well and I say, okay, well, someone who likes to sew, okay, I see this is selling in the sewing category or whatever. And all right, well, let me, my friend over here, she does a lot of sewing or crocheting or whatever. Let me see what other items she uses. And then let me see if I can find that item and test it out and see what works. Otherwise, bundling has been really great these days. There's been a high push these days for the DIY products. So there's an example that I've shown to some of the students that I've worked with on how to sell on Amazon, where there's this dog collar. It's kind of make your own dog collar. If you really take apart that whole package, it's just a couple of buckles. And then it's just a little rope piece or whatever you call it. And they put in there a detailed DIY package here. Learn how to make your own dog collar and make 5 of them with your friends. And then they get a nice little label and they put it on there and boom, there's your private label. But it's really a white labeled item of multiple generic items bundled together.
Yeah.
The DIY thing is such a big thing right now. People love the DIY stuff. So that's been working really well.
No, that's really cool and gives people listening kind of an idea of, potential strategies that they could use there. Can you give us an idea in your business what the velocity of sales of some of your products? You probably have a whole range, but maybe you can give us that range. Are some products selling, thousands of units a month and others are only selling a couple of units a month, or what does that look like?
For one, I do sell most of my items, pretty much almost all my items actually sell under a BSR ranking of 10,000 in the main product category. And based off of each category, it's a different sales velocity.
Right.
Some of my bestseller items in the line of items, because there might be different variations or characters of the items, I do sell 2,000 to 3,000 of those. But my profit margins, it's a lot of people don't focus on the profit margins. It's really the profit margins that is what makes up my highly profitable Amazon business throughout the year.
Right.
So there are other items that I can sell. I was actually, before I got on this call with you, I was looking at one of my latest items that's doing really well. It's an item that I get for just a little bit over $2, and I'm profiting $13 on it. From September 1st to September 30th, I sold 512 of that item. So
nice.
It's the profit margin that I look for as opposed to how many did I sell this month. Yeah,
no, absolutely.
Yeah, I have a tiny, tiny little item that you can put in an envelope that I sell, I think, a little bit over 1,000 of each month, but I'm making, I think it's $1.20 or 25 cents on each one of those. So, I look at those numbers and I pretty much try to say, okay, what are my profit margins on everything that I'm selling? And I always try to find something that's selling under that. If my product is selling over 10,000 in the main category, then I pretty much exit out. I don't reorder that, because to me, I can flip my money a lot faster.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, that's cool, man. It gets me excited, wants me to get into gear and start finding some more products. Because there's probably so many opportunities out there that people can be diving into. So I need to be doing that.
No, you know what, Spencer, the more time that you're on Amazon, the more products you're able to sell. I mean, Amazon really starts to give you a boost after a while too. So when you start coming up with new products later on, it might take one or two sales and suddenly you're on the first or second page now.
Yeah.
So it's I look at Amazon like a little bit of a point system. I got, great seller reviews, great products, great sales velocity, almost 8 years on Amazon. And it gets easier with time. And so I put out more items now, and anything that goes over 10,000, I'm just exit out now.
And it gets easier because your site age and all the seller reviews and that sort of thing, right? Amazon gives you a little bit more authority, if you will.
Yeah, you get a higher authority ranking. You get invited to different things, the flash deals,
Gotcha.
Platinum merchants, all that kind of stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, very cool. So let's talk about promotional strategies a little bit here. So, there's going to be competing products. What are some strategies that you use to make your listing stand out from everybody else and make sure they sell? Yeah,
I think most people will be surprised, because my number one thing is to find the right item that people want to buy. And that pretty much sells my item, whether I have a crappy photo up, whether I have less than 10 reviews on it, and if I'm priced correctly. Obviously, you want to have as best optimized product detail page as possible, right? You want to have good conversions on your product. But the number one thing is to have a product that maybe a lot of people don't see as much on Amazon, where there's less competition. So now if they come to your product, hey, I only see one or two on here and this one looks great, I'm going to buy this one now. I think that, along with Amazon sponsored ads, is really what pushes my products to do well. You will never see me finding products or selling products that other people are already selling on Amazon. I always do a variation of what they're selling. I'll bundle something, or I'll completely put out a brand new product that I find with my manufacturer or my vendors, or that I see around here, or something of the sort.
Yeah. So to follow up with that, I know we already talked about finding products to sell, but was there anything that we missed, since you sort of re-mentioned that is the key, is finding the right product, and once you do, you don't need a ton of promotion after the fact. What anything that we missed for finding a product that you're willing to share?
You always do need the first few reviews to really get your product going, right? So however way you do it with a review group, if you have people lined up, you need some sort of unbiased reviews to get on as soon as your product hits the Amazon warehouse if you're selling with FBA. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I would say that the DIY packages are the hottest thing going right now, in my opinion, from what I've seen. Every now and then, if you want to do coupon codes on your page or some sort of a coupon insert in your product where you might have a complimentary cross-sell item on Amazon, those work as well. So you can put in a coupon and that points to your cross-sell item. And then, now I'm starting to do the Facebook fan page and gathering, leads to now get people over to my new Amazon products as soon as I put them out. But that's fairly new, so it's kind of harder for me to talk about how, what's really working with that, what's not working, because I'm still experimenting with how to make it work properly.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I actually was over looking at your blog earlier and noticed that you mentioned using Pinterest as well to drive sales. How are you using Pinterest right now, and how's that working?
Well, Pinterest a few months ago, I had just started getting into it, and I was noticing that a lot of people were using the group boards to drop their products. And for the most part, I was playing around with it at that time. I think that it might have helped some of my products, and other products it might have hurt them. Because if you get a click to your Amazon product detail page and there's not a conversion in sales, then Amazon doesn't look at that well, because it means someone hit your page, they didn't buy it. So more so now I've been focusing on the Facebook end, and that I've actually gathered a little bit more than 2,600 leads on a new niche that I'm working on, and that has been a great thing to see. And I'm kind of working with newsletters on that and getting people to my product. That's been working a little bit better for me than on Pinterest, because I haven't been working so much on Pinterest right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that sounds good. So you did mention doing sponsored ads previously. Let's dive into that. Do you use that for all of your products, or what are some strategies there that you find work well with sponsored ads?
Yeah. So all of my products are my own product listings, other than the one line of item that I do buy from a distributor. Mm-hmm. So I do put on sponsored ads immediately as soon as I get my item out there. I want it to be found. Okay.
Right.
Even if I don't have one review on there, which is the case with actually some of my items right now, because I am so firm and so confident in the products that I've found that they're targeting a great audience, I'm very confident that my Amazon sponsored ads are going to do well. And so I go in with that strategy, and I do get my first few sales that way. In terms of the keywords that I put in there, I think most people know this or might do this. You go to the Amazon search tool, Amazon search bar, and, you start putting in search terms that you think people are going to look for your product. And then you kind of bounce around to what pops up in there, and then come up with your own list of keywords that you want to put in the sponsored ads section. I normally stick to about 12 to 20 keywords, and that's because I really dive in to the proper keywords necessary for my item. So I'm not the type that goes out and puts 200 different keywords in my Amazon listings. Mm-hmm. I really stick to finding some of the best ones, and then I'm constantly playing around with the keywords that are working on the sponsored ads, going back into my product detail page, because a lot of people forget this part. Go back to your product detail page and now put those keywords in there.
Right.
Or change up the keywords in the product detail page and see if it bumps you up, to the next page of whatever your search terms are. I spend a great deal of time with keywords on the back end of Amazon and in Amazon sponsored ads. And I don't tend to do more than 20 keywords and my items get found.
Yeah. No, that sounds good. So for natural rankings, any keyword tips there for as far as, what to put in the back end and in your product titles, any general strategies there?
Yeah, your best keywords, you want to put it in your product title. I know right now that there's a push for getting long titles out there and trying to stuff it with as many keywords as possible. You really have to think about the customer who's looking at this. No one likes to read a paragraph as a product title. Do you like to read a paragraph?
I don't, no.
You just want to look at it and just immediately know what the product is. So I would say, put your best keywords in your product title because that does weigh in Amazon's search engine. And then every other keyword that you have for your product, you do want to put it in the product detail page. For the first, I would say about 4 to 6 weeks that my product is newly launched on Amazon, I am spending a lot of time in the product detail page changing my keywords. I tend to notice how quickly things jump because within 30 minutes to an hour is when I'll start noticing if my keywords, jumped from page 12, made my product jump from page 12 to page 6, or if someone suddenly bought that product when it wasn't even moving for 2 days. Mm-hmm. And it's the small things, but that take a decent amount of time that I think is sometimes overlooked, but is super, super important. Because you need to have your product found on Amazon. If it's a good product and there's not 20 billion people selling the same white labeled product, right, then you really have a good chance of doing well with that item.
Yeah. And maybe I'm taking a slight step back here, but I think this is so important. Just again, talking about finding the right product. I'm kind of fascinated with your strategy here. And so I want to dig in just one more time here.
Okay.
You talked about, finding the fact that you're never selling a product that already exists on Amazon. And, you don't put a direct copy up. You're always changing the product up a little bit or finding a complementary type product. Now, are these products, like you said, they're unique to Amazon and the fact that you're the only one there. Are they unique to your manufacturer sometimes? Are you ever creating or having your manufacturer create something new that they weren't creating before? Or are you just, taking something they're already making and bringing it new to Amazon?
Sure. I do a combination of both. I do some white label items that are not selling on Amazon. And then I do take out molds and create my own products. And they tend to be something very simple. It's nothing crazy. I'm not inventing something insane. But I'll give you a good example, Spencer, because this is actually something that I considered, but I'm not going to go ahead and do it. Okay. There's a lot of listings, or there's a few listings right now with the emojis. The character faces that you find on your phone. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, great. There's a lot of people who are selling like the emoji pillows. They're selling this and that. I can go and create some sort of like charms of emoji faces that I come up with or that I have a designer come up with. Gotcha. And put those together because I don't think as of maybe like this was probably a month ago. As of a month ago, I didn't see people selling emoji charms. When sometimes I consider, well, if people are making products for the Halloween or the Christmas time, what product might they be interested in buying from me? A lot of Etsy sellers will buy on Amazon and they'll create something and they'll sell it on their Etsy page. So, that was a thought of mine. Hey, maybe I should make some emoji charms. I didn't see a package of emoji charms being sold on Amazon as of a month ago. But that's my thought process. Also, I do a lot of window shopping. I'll go out. The majority of my day is me going out, seeing what's happening in the corner store, going to a Target, going to a specialty store around wherever I'm at that moment because I travel a lot, and just getting my mind, stimulated and seeing what's out there and getting ideas that way. So when I go ahead and do that, then I come back refreshed onto my computer and I get on Amazon. I'm like, oh, that product that I took a picture of on my phone, that's an interesting product. Let me see if I see it on Amazon, or let me see if maybe some people have interest in this, find some blogs maybe, see if there are other items that I'm missing, and let's see if this is a viable product to try to list on Amazon. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fascinating to me. I love it. Gets me motivated. Hopefully people listening as well. I think it will. Does it come down to, cause that can seem a little bit daunting. You take something, okay, I'm going to do an emoji charm. And I've never done anything unique or original before. Does it just come down to knowing the right people, having that relationship with your sourcing agent, or certain manufacturers? Is it really just that easy and saying, hey, can you do this?
You can do this tomorrow. You can do this right now. You can go on Aliexpress and find any vendor, and you can find 5-10 different vendors, whatever they're selling. Send them a picture of something that you might be interested in. Say, hey, is this something that you can help me find, or where I can create something with my designer? Could you do this for me? And then just start getting some samples, start getting some quotes, and work with the right one that you feel the best with.
So we need to just stop sitting around and actually start doing something. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Get started. To take the fear out of the equation. There is a bunch of money to be made on Amazon right now.
Totally. Absolutely. The traffic is tremendous. It's overwhelming, the amount of traffic on there. So very cool.
I'm gonna look now to see if anyone came up with those emoji charms or something on Amazon over the next few weeks.
That's right. Maybe somebody listening in will take you up on that.
Yeah.
And do it. So let's go ahead and jump into retail. I know you haven't done much yet, but how did you even approach that? Did anybody approach you, or did you start knocking on doors and going to buyers of retail outlets and seeing if you could sell your product?
Yeah, I didn't go to any retail outlets to look for contacts to sell my products. It wasn't even at top of mind when I started this year. What happened was basically I like to go out and do lots of stuff, and a lot of stuff in terms of professional networking in areas that have nothing to do with Amazon. I really like to surround myself with professional people who are doing well in their fields. And it came about that, one person introduced me to another person. And then not even 2 days later, someone else was talking to me about, them having contacts for retail chain stores. And so now here I am with a couple of contacts, and they're actively asking me for samples.
Yeah.
I have a couple of products now that are really doing very well. And so, they kind of mentioned, hey, this might be something. Let's see if we can do something. So I'm getting now it's a new ball game for me because I've never sold to retail stores. And so someone is helping me through it so that I can create the proper packaging and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And we'll see how it goes when I present in a couple weeks or so.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So again, it kind of comes down to just being out and connecting with people, networking, and opportunities sort of present themselves.
Yeah, I think if you always have a positive outlook, if you have a positive vibe and you're constantly putting yourself out there, genuinely interested in what other people do, I think it naturally just happens. I'm that type of person that if you want it, it will manifest itself, obviously with some work, but genuinely being interested in other people, you just never know where a relationship might take you.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So if you ever do end up getting into that retail store, which we hope you do, let us know. We can do a follow-up perhaps and, just get whole explanation of the retail world. So before we kind of wrap up here, was there anything else that perhaps we missed, any additional strategies that you wanted to share with people that are selling on Amazon, or any just final words of wisdom?
I always like to tell people, because I do coach a lot of people on one-on-one, and I have had an Amazon pilot class recently. What I try to tell people is, if you don't have the capital right now, do not be discouraged. I started under $1,000, and I'm close to $1 million right now on Amazon. You have to have a lot of patience, and you don't have to be particularly skilled in one area. Selling on Amazon already comes with a built-in audience. Mm-hmm. If you get on the FBA program, then you tap into the Prime members, which I think is absolutely dire to your success on Amazon. I think it's absolutely necessary to be on the FBA program. I think it helps speed up your velocity in your products, and it helps give you free time. I travel a lot now because I know Amazon is taking care of my items. So do not be discouraged if you can make your own DIY package, or if you do anything that you can make hands-on, then go ahead, put it in a Ziploc bag, put a little logo on it, and there you go. You have an item that you can sell on Amazon all of a sudden. So just think outside of the box. Don't follow the crowd, and get going on your Amazon business.
Yeah, I agree. Great words there. Great tips. So if people do want to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
I have a website at pilarnewman.com, and you can look for me there. I try to put out blog posts. Lately, it's been a little bit harder with all the different activity that I have going on outside to actually write more there. But you can go ahead and you can email me through that website. You can find me on my Facebook page under Pilar Newman Entrepreneur. I definitely do a lot of posting of what's happening in the retail world and the Amazon world and e-commerce. And everything that I'm learning, I shoot it out in my newsletter every week or so. So go ahead, sign up, and let's connect.
Perfect. Absolutely. People can go there and get in touch with you. Again, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast today and sharing your tips, your experience, your story. It's gotten me excited to look at different areas that I haven't been looking at already with Amazon, but hopefully people out there gives them the motivation as well to go out and take some action and get started with Amazon FBA.
Great. Thank you, Spencer. I really do appreciate you having me on your show.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot.